All right, and we are back. And today we're going to cover skills, enhancements, and super ascension for our Astromon on here. And I'm going to be using my Dark Persephone that I just got outside of the Primo Festival as an example for all of this, because it'll be easier to show instead of tell. And we will start there. So this stems from a question I saw in the comments, and it's talking about how do you level up the skills of your Astromon. Now, every Astromon has skills here on them, and coming back onto the ship and going to your monsters, you can click on them by hitting the Manage Skills button, and this is where we come into what we call booking your Astromon. Every Astromon can be booked 8 times to increase basically damage dealt, increase their passive. So the person who asked the question, will use Fire Persephone here. Booking your Astromon will get damage here on the right, but then down here the passive skill duration will go up +1 turn, meaning this will activate and go for 3 turns instead of 2. And then again, this is activation rate plus 20%, and then again, skill duration. So it is actually really, really important to eventually book the Astromon you are using on your teams, and for a lot of reasons, not just damage they deal, but the passive, activation rate. Like plus 20% activation takes an 80% chance to a 100% chance, and that's actually really good. But bringing it back over here regardless, so this is where you would do this. So booking my Dark Persephone would just increase her damage dealt, period, which is why she is God tier. And on my main Dark Persephone, you see I already have level 5. So it is very important to book the Astromon, like I said, that you are going to be using. Now, there are several ways to get these skill books for 5-star Astromon in the game. They are the creme de la creme, so it's not going to be easy. And of course, there is pay to obtain these in a lot of ways. Again, I'm not going to go over specific, packages when they come out. And things like that. Value is in the eye of the beholder, so to speak, but just know I am more of a free-to-play player, and I don't see the value in spending $90 to get one of these books. There's better ways to go about summoning this stuff, I believe. But they don't have, you're not a fish out of water, so to speak. You do have the skill book fusion down here. So what they have a system in place is you select the star of the Astromon. We call these Nats. So this is Nat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this case, Persephone and everyone else is a Nat 5 because we only have 5-star Astromon. And you select 4 Astromon that you want skill books from. So this has every 5-star Astromon in the game. They don't have every element on here because element doesn't matter for the books. So out of this, you will pick 4 Astromon that you need books for. In this case, you guys can see I have Persephone selected, the Crystal Dragon, Acer, and Valkyrie. These are the 4 Astromon I want books for. And the way this works is, let's say you got 2 books from something you didn't need. So let's say I had, and eventually I'm going to need this, but let's just say for instance, I had 2 books for Gilgamesh. I don't need Gilgamesh's books. I'm trying to get Persephone here, right? I would take those 2 books, like clicking on this, and you would fuse, and you have a 25% chance of getting the book for one of these 4 Astromon. As you can see, since I've been fusing for Acer, for other things, I got that's the luck of the draw here. Now, I could just do this now trying to get Persephone, but I do want to keep Acer's books up on here. But that's how you will do this. So this is the way you can almost, and again, I don't want to say guarantee, but this is the RNG factor of the gacha system of the books on here. Now, to show a little bit of where to do this, how you can get 5-star Astromon books without spending any money is you just do the gameplay loop, right? You get gems, you come in here, you spend gems, you get crystals, you come into the crystal shop, and you spend those gems on these 5-star skill books. I talked about this during the anniversary, and just know I still stay firm on this. My answer to this is not wasted at all on this, no matter what. You're gonna want these 5-star skill books. Now, the reason why I brought up the fusion in the first place was because this is chosen at random, so you're not guaranteed to get a 5-star skill book for an Astromon you need. That's why the fusion is in place in here, is so that you can hopefully Yes, it's 25% chance in this case for Persephone or whoever you pick, but it's better than nothing. And I do wish they would change this system to let me, for instance, take some books that I have. I have 19,617 books, 72 books that I would like to hopefully trade up. I wish there was a way or a system to trade up and make this not as difficult as it is. But I digress. That is a Leon rant for another day. But that's how you would level up your skills, is you just need to acquire the skill books here. I will briefly just touch on for 4 stars and lower. You get these through other ways. You can go get these in the same way. You can either use crystals to summon them. There are some that just show up in random packages. They give them out, that kind of thing. And so same thing here, only that you don't have as many Astromon. Again, this is the 5-star Astromons are the creme de la creme. So that's why they're trying to limit the amount of books. But as you go down in the nat category, the natural born 4 stars, 3 stars, you'll notice with 3-star Astromon you have a 50% chance you're either going to get the book for the Astromon you want or you're not. But that's just how it is. And again, I wish there was a way to trade these books up so we can have more Astromon booked more easily, I guess you would say, because those are a bunch of books just sitting there doing me nothing. But this leads me into the next part of the video, which is going to be talking now about enhancement. Now, there is no specific order in which you can do this. Obviously, booking your Astromon is going to take a lot of time unless you're willing to spend the money. And so there's no, you book your Astromon, then you enhance, then you super ascend. That's not the order in which you can do this, because 9 times out of 10, you'll be able to enhance an Astromon right off the bat. And again, for this, I'm going to use my Dark Persephone here as an example. Alright, so we're going to now get into the enhancements on here, and the first thing to talk about is once you hit, you need to be a max leveled Astromon, so you need to have ascended it to 6 stars and leveled it up in order to start enhancing it. The difference between an enhanced Astromon and a non-enhanced Astromon is going to be the statistics, but the way you can tell is if you look at the stars on my Dark Persephone right here, they are yellow, and if you look at my Fire Arthur, they're this different little tint of, it's blue, purple, or pink, whatever you want to call it, and that's how you know that you have enhanced an Astromon. And so when we do this, you just click on the enhance on here, and let's dive into this part. Now, you need an essence in order to enhance an Astromon, and the way you get essence is by releasing 3-star or higher Astromon out there. You got to remember, Monster Super League is a game that wants you to constantly be playing it, and so you should always be out there doing something. So I get asked all the time why, how do I have so much gold? And quite literally, it is I play the game a lot when I'm into playing Monster Super League. During these days, I'm a lot more casual than I used to be, but you're out there running. So while you're out there running, you're not only selling gems, you're capturing Astromon, you're getting super evolution materials and all this stuff. And when you're doing that, you're capturing 3-star Astromon, and there's going to be a point where you're going to capture enough of a 3-star Astromon that you don't need it anymore, meaning you don't need to use it for rebirth festivals, you don't need to use it for your Astro Guide to get those gems. It's just an Astromon sitting there, and you might go, well, there's no reason to capture that Astromon at all, so you might uncheck it in your auto capture. However, this is where this is the reason why you might not want to do that. When you release an Astromon, you get a couple of things out of it, and the higher the star of the Astromon, in this case a natural born 3-star, we call those Nat 3s, like I was saying. So you have a Nat 3 or a Nat 4, which are our legendary Astromon. When you release those Astromon, you can get a bunch of things. You can get an egg, you can get more gold, you can get some gems. But in this case, we want essence, and when you release them, you get essence, and you can save that essence up, and this is where you're going to use it. And that is the primary way you're going to get essence. So again, you need to be out there playing Monster Super League, running levels, running your extremes to get your dragon sigils, to get, into dragons dungeons and things of that nature. And once you have enough essence, you can come into your Astromon and do the enhancement feature. Now, as we're going to do this for my Dark Persephone, I always put this out there. Remember, I'm not the be-all, end-all when I talk about this stuff. I'm going to give you a general idea of how I go about it. There are some stats you're going to look at on here and go, well, I would change it out on here, and that's fine. This is, again, this is a community, and this is a conversation to be had. I'm just using this to show you guys and give you a foundation so that when you do this for yourself, instead of asking the question, you can have the confidence to go in there and go, I would enhance an Astromon like this for this reason. And I will give you an example here between my two Dark Persephones on here. But to start off with, just like going back to my gemming video, and if you haven't watched that video, definitely go back and watch that first, because I'm going to use that as an example here. Okay, just like in my gemming video, you always are going to be looking at what the Astromon is. In this case, Dark Persephone is an attacker. Again, you always want to check out the skills of the Astromon, because statistics that you are about to enhance might help one of these abilities on here. However, we know with Dark Persephone, she doesn't have, I can't increase her attack to make her skills any better. Just increasing her attack is just going to make her better in general. So because we know that, we now want to know what the Astromon is. And as an attacker, the first thing we are going to be looking for is an attack percent. So what this is this is 6 categories to enhance the Astromon as. And we're going to do that on the first one. To take note, as you do each one of these categories, your enhancement is going to cost you more. And we're going to go through this all the way down, but just know that this is going to cost a little bit. So the reason why I talk so much about running is you're going to want to build up a healthy supply of essence before you really do this for an Astromon. Even 27,000 essence is not a lot when it comes down to re-rolling stats. I will tell you that right now, that I could burn all 27,000 of this essence on Dark Persephone right now. But again, it's RNG based, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. So again, it's going to pick a random statistic. So it's going to pick HP, attack, defense, recovery, crit damage, crit rate, resist, and crit resist. And it's going to be one of these in this first slot. So we're just going to hit enhance and see what we get. So the first one we got was flat HP. So remember, this is when you see a plus symbol, we call that flat. And when you see a percent sign, it's obviously a percent. So this means it's giving us a flat 4,800 extra HP. However, I don't want to do this. We want to look, since right now it's the cheapest to re-roll this category, we want to be looking for our main stat. And our main stat on Dark Persephone is we want attack percent. So I'm going to be looking for attack percent. So we're just going to hit enhance again. It gave us flat HP. And we do it again. We got HP percent that time. I got really bad rolls to get flat HP. But again, to show it, rolling it over to a different stat, we're now getting 19% more HP. And this might be good on let's say a tank Astromon. But again, we're dealing with Dark Persephone here. We want the attack. Resist, flat resist. This doesn't say percent, but this is your resist percent. This is giving you 5% more resist. There we go. We got attack percent. Now, we only got 5%. It's not the max stat, but right there, we'll just hit OK, and we will leave it. So once you do that, first thing to notice is your next category is going to go up by 50. Now, it's not always going to be 50, but it's going to increase as you go down on here. But this is, again, where I was talking about you could you could use all 27,000 essence, because this is now where we want this to be somewhat higher. You can shoot for max on here, but I do want this a little bit higher. So if you click the little, I don't know what this would necessarily be called, but it's just you're changing your stat, and you can change it for 250. And when you do this, it will re-roll the attack percent, and it went up to 16. This is going to be good. I'm going to leave this here, but you should, and even for my me being a filthy casual, I think on my Persephone, and we'll see her, my main Persephone, we'll see it's not even max on her, but regardless, I digress. This is good. We have our main stat, attack percent, 16% extra is good. I'm going to leave it there. So now we want to get the next stat, and again, with her being how she is, we want crit rate, crit damage. These are our next two targets for our enhancement. So we're going to go until we get one of those on here. We sure as heck don't need recovery, so we're going to roll right out of that. And wow, okay, I'll take that. A maxed crit rate on this one. Okay, so this is a crit rate percent again, so this is giving you 12% crit rate. Again, they don't show it here for whatever reason, but we will keep that. So I'm just going to hit OK. The next stat we want is crit damage. Resist wouldn't be bad here, but again, I want to use the lower cost here to get the thing we want. We sure as heck don't need recovery percent. We're not going to be healing nothing. HP percent is good, but again, I'm looking for that crit damage right now. Nice try, game. I know what you're doing, and I'm not going to let you do it. I don't need that either. We don't need defense percent. Well, this is one that you could argue me right now. We want flat attack on here. Again, it's better than nothing. This will give you 210 more attack onto your Astromon. This is good, but again, I want the crit damage. We will put flat attack on her, but we'll just do it down here. We do not need that recovery. And now, again, you can see how this could add up really, really quickly. We don't need that defense percent. There we go. We got crit damage, and again, this is a percent based, so 17% crit damage on here. We will take that, and I will take a moment just to show this. Not that it matters, but this is where you can see the enhancement. This is why we have 6 categories, because we have 6-star Astromon once you ascend it. So you can see this is how you can keep track of what you have enhanced. We've enhanced her 3 times, and we have 3 more to go. So just to show that little bit of a visual change as you do this. So now we've got our main 3 statistics on here. I could re-roll crit damage a little bit higher, but I'm not going to. But we now want to look at the last 3 categories, and how I want to go about this is, once again, this is where this is how you play, the Astromon. Where is the Astromon going? Is it going to be in PvP? Is it going to be in PvE? Is this going after Titans? Is it going after the clan boss? Is it going into the golems? Where this Astromon goes, because that does play a little bit into how you're going to do this. And the reason why I'm going to bring up my main Dark Persephone now is to show you I use my Dark Persephone out in everything. She can clear almost all content by herself, right? However, this is to show you where I use her though. So notice I'm missing something important on this build, and this is her, specifically her crit damage. And a lot of this comes down to, where do you guys see me use my Dark Persephone? It's in PvP, and arguably I should have these stats maxed, but I want her to live, so I want more resist on her. I want her to be able to take a little bit more hits, so I have defense percent on her. I arguably should have HP percent and not flat HP on here. And then I have more defense. So because I put this Astromon a little bit more in PvP, I have statistics for her for more so that than I would, let's say, just having her flat out, going out there and doing more damage. Again, this is where arguably people could tell me, well, you should just get rid of HP, you should have the flat attack, the defense, you should just have the crit damage on there no matter what, and just leave the resist and maybe the defense percent, or swap this over to more HP. And to those people, I hear you. 100% I can hear you. But this you're looking at past Leon and his mindset of how it is. And my Dark Persephone lives enough and does what I want her to do with this kind of a build that I'm okay with on here. But that's why, again, I now have a second one that I can build her differently and go about it that way. And that's the joy of I have in Monster Super League, especially having multiple Astromon. So In this case, now I'm going to do that next part. So again, we want flat attack on her. So let's spend, again, essence is going to keep going up. Crit resist wouldn't be too bad, but again, I want flat attack now. We don't need that recovery percent game, but good try. Tried it again. And the other thing to remember is since we've knocked out attack percent, crit rate, and crit damage, you have less things for it to pick, which is okay. But again, it's also going to start costing a little bit more. And I would lock in the crit resist, but once again, I want flat attack on this Persephone. HP, flat HP wouldn't be too bad. There it is. We'll lock in the attack for right now. And from there, now it really is going to come down to, we have percent, we have flat, we have crit rate, we have crit damage. Now for our last two, we can talk about survivability. We could go with more HP so she could take a hit. We could do resistance so that she could resist, being taunted and things like that. These last two are really a float category on how you really want it. Just don't do recovery. This is not a recovery Astromon. So she doesn't heal off anything. So if I'm going to do HP, it would be HP percent. And it's like that, and I'm kind of tempted to do that and then do the resist. So we're just going to lock that in here because we could be here all day talking about all this and whatnot. And you can see why you want to get your main stats before you come down here, because now we're re-rolling at 500 per essence. This is where, yeah, I knew you were going to go to recovery on that one. This is where it adds up, unfortunately. And so searching for maybe the crit resist here is going to start costing a lot. Defense percent. Yeah, we don't need that recovery. All right, game. Come on, cut me some slack. Should have locked in that resist when I had the chance. Because now it's just going to go from recovery. There we go. Crit resist. So we'll lock that in no matter what. So as you can see, we started at 27,000 and now we are literally down, 12,000 and some odd. So you got to definitely be careful where you go here. And this is where you focus in on the Astromon. So now we would, again, maybe try and re-roll this to a higher out of 16. But again, I'm just going to leave this where it's at. I might do this one once to try and get up into this a little bit higher. That's less than what I had. There we go. And let's do some more crit resistance. Let's get that a little bit higher. Yep, I'll leave that there. Maybe try and get up onto the top category. And we'll just leave that there for now. But there's enhancing your Astromon. And once that is done, you now have, all the stars are done for the Astromon. And again, this is where gemming comes into play because it's the same kind of idea going forward. And the last little part of this video, I know this one's a little bit longer one, but it's just easier to lump in all these together, is moving into Super Ascension for your Astromon. Now, this is a harder one to hone in on, just because the skill you're going to learn is random. There's no other way to put it. You get to get one of these off this Astromon. And so while super ascending your Astromon is not required, it is just another skill to have on it. And I can say for a fact that having this immunity on my Dark Persephone in PvP has been a godsend. Having immunity to resist taunting, sap, shock, CC in general has been awesome. So I definitely lucked out as far as what I got on here. And you guys hear me complain it in my champions videos all the time when I see somebody who gets protection of the fallen or blessing of the fallen or unwavering resolve and just some of these ridiculous little buffs that they get. This is where this comes from. So when you guys hear me complain, it's all this. Now, with my Dark Persephone, I don't think I'm going to super ascend her. There are other Astromon that I want to have their skills up. Like, let's say my Light Arthur needs it on here. But this is the next thing you would want to do. is this is has to be done first. You have to enhance, and then you can super ascend, and it tells you right here it's required to be max level, and then it requires your 6 out of 6 enhancement. And you roll the dice. You need 100 high stones, which should be, at this point, if you're even considering this, very easy for you to farm. You need 100 high dark stones, again, should be very easy to farm. And the last part, though, is the dimensional star stones. These are going to be the more difficult ones to go after, because we'll go out into the map right now. And I do not have a tutorial for this. There's other ones done. Elio, for instance, always love giving him a shout out. He is definitely a place of good resource for all of Monster Super League that even I go to and watch, so go check him out. But he has talked about teams that work for the dimensional dungeon right here and going after Benji. And this is where you have the different days of the week. You are going to have different elements that you're going to attack, and you're going to be using different teams to go about it. And this is your primary place to get these Starstone for Super Ascension. This is the only place to get them outside of being given it to you out of packages. Clan festivals, I think, can even give it out of that, but this is where you're gonna have to go, and this is where late game comes in. So newer players, you're not necessarily going to be able to tackle this just yet, but you're going to eventually be getting here. That's why you're building up the Astromon, slowly building up the teams to be able to tackle these kind of dungeons. So but that's again why I said your Super Ascension at the end is not really it's not a make or break. Yes, you're going to get statistics out of doing it. So if I super ascended, I am going to see an increase on here. And you know what? I said I wasn't going to do it, but we're going to do it just so we can see what we get. It's better just to show than tell. So we hit the Super Ascension on here. And which skill we got? We got Protection of the Fallen. Excuse me, not terrible, but obviously there are a plethora of others that are probably better than this upon somebody's death. But that's what you would do. And if you notice now, Persephone's attack is not 3920, I think it said. It's now 4213. She has more HP. So there is a benefit to super ascending your Astromon. You do get actual base stats on it. But once again, it's not going to be your make or break. And for newer players, this is just a stepping stone, and I'm just showing it off here that this is eventually what you will want to do for your Astromon that you're going to be using for a lot of stuff. So I know the video was long, guys. Hopefully it was helpful, covering skill books, the enhancement, and then talking about Super Ascension. If you guys liked it, give it a like. If you didn't like it, give it a dislike. Let me know you got more questions down in the comments below. I try my best to get back to it as quickly as I can. And I appreciate all you guys watching, liking, subscribing, and all that. So I will see you all in the next video.